2. George 1727–1760. George II ascended to the British throne in 1727, succeeding his father, George I. His reign spanned from 1727 until his death in 1760, encompassing a pivotal period in British history. Born in Hanover, Germany, George II became the last British monarch to be born outside of the British Isles. His reign was marked by a series of significant political, social, and cultural developments that left a lasting impact on the nation. George II's reign is of paramount importance in British history because it represents a time of transition and transformation for the nation. During his rule, Britain experienced significant changes in politics, foreign affairs, culture, and society. It was a period marked by the rise of parliamentary power, the expansion of the British Empire, and the dawn of the Industrial Revolution. Moreover, George II's reign played a crucial role in shaping the modern British monarchy and its constitutional framework, laying the foundation for the constitutional monarchy that exists today. Political evolution. The period witnessed a shift towards a more parliamentary form of government, with the monarchy's power gradually diminishing in favor of parliamentary sovereignty. The rivalry between political parties, including the Whigs and Tories, played a pivotal role in shaping British politics during this time. Foreign affairs and wars. George II's reign saw Britain's involvement in several European conflicts, most notably the War of the Austrian Succession. These conflicts had far-reaching consequences for Britain's position on the global stage. Imperial expansion. The British Empire continued to grow under George II, with the acquisition of new territories and colonies across the world. The era was marked by increased trade and commerce, contributing to Britain's economic prosperity. Cultural and intellectual flourishing. The Enlightenment had a profound influence on British society during this period, fostering intellectual developments and cultural achievements. British writers, philosophers, and artists made significant contributions to the Enlightenment and laid the groundwork for later cultural movements. Social and economic changes. George II's reign coincided with the early stages of the Industrial Revolution, which brought about profound changes in the economy and society. The era witnessed shifts in class structures and the emergence of industrialization. Challenges and conflicts. George II faced challenges to his reign, including the Jacobite rebellions, which aimed to restore the Stuart monarchy. Social unrest and protests also emerged as the country underwent rapid changes. George II, whose full name was Georg August, was born on November 10, 1683, in Hanover, a German principality. He was a member of the House of Hanover, which had strong ties to the British royal family. His father, George I, was the Elector of Hanover and became the King of Great Britain and Ireland in 1714, following the death of Queen Anne. George II's mother was Sophia Dorothea of Celle. George II had a relatively privileged upbringing, though his relationship with his father was strained due to their differing personalities and political beliefs. Despite this, his family's connections to the British throne would eventually lead to his ascension as king. When George I died in 1727, George II succeeded him to become the King of Great Britain and Ireland. His ascension was relatively smooth, thanks to his familiarity with British institutions and politics. However, his early years as king were marked by a degree of political turbulence and competition between different factions and parties vying for influence in his court. Political intrigue. The political landscape in Britain was complex, with Whigs and Tories competing for power and influence. George II was expected to navigate these political rivalries and maintain a balanced government. Foreign conflicts. Britain was frequently involved in European conflicts, and as king, George II had to make crucial decisions about military engagements and alliances. Maintenance of the Hanoverian succession. There was a constant fear of Jacobite uprisings aimed at restoring the Stuart monarchy. George II had to secure the Hanoverian succession and protect his family's claim to the throne. Economic and social issues. The nation was undergoing significant economic and social changes, with the early stages of industrialization and shifts in societal structures. The king had to consider the impact of these changes on his subjects. Cultural patronage. As a patron of the arts and sciences, George II was expected to support cultural and intellectual developments in Britain. George II's reign was marked by the need to balance these various challenges and expectations, and his ability to do so would greatly influence the course of his rule and its impact on British history. George II's reign unfolded against the backdrop of a dynamic and often tumultuous political climate in Britain. Several factors shaped this political landscape. Party politics. The period was characterized by the dominance of political parties, primarily the Whigs and the Tories. These parties represented different interests and ideologies and were often in fierce competition for control of government. Royal influence. While the monarchy's powers were gradually diminishing in favor of parliamentary sovereignty, the king still played a significant role in politics. George II had to navigate the delicate balance between asserting royal authority and respecting parliamentary norms. Foreign affairs. Ongoing conflicts in Europe, such as the War of the Austrian Succession, had a direct impact on British politics. Decisions regarding war and diplomacy were central to the political discourse of the time. Jacobite threat. The Jacobite movement, which aimed to restore the Stuart monarchy, remained a persistent challenge to the Hanoverian succession. The government had to invest resources in counteracting Jacobite plots and rebellions. Parliamentary evolution. The period witnessed the gradual development of a constitutional monarchy, with Parliament becoming more assertive in its legislative and oversight functions. This evolution had a profound impact on the balance of power between the Crown and Parliament. Whigs. The Whigs were typically associated with support for parliamentary supremacy and the Hanoverian succession. They were often aligned with urban and commercial interests and favored a more centralized government. Key Whig figures during George II's reign included Sir Robert Walpole, who served as the de facto first Prime Minister, and Thomas Pelham Hollis, Duke of Newcastle. Tories. The Tories, on the other hand, tended to be more conservative and were sometimes associated with Jacobite sympathies. They favored a stronger role for the monarchy and often represented rural and landed interests. Prominent Tories included Sir William Windham and William Pulteney. Political factions. Within both the Whig and Tory parties, there were factions and rivalries. These factions could have a significant impact on government policies and the allocation of power. For example, the Whig Party had the Patriot Whigs and the Court Whigs, each with distinct positions on various issues. George II's reign was marked by British involvement in several European conflicts, reflecting the broader geopolitical dynamics of the era. Britain was a major player on the European stage, and its actions during these conflicts had far-reaching consequences. War of the Quadruple Alliance, 1718 to 1720. This conflict arose from a coalition of European powers, including Britain, against Spain's attempts to regain its Italian possessions. It ended with the Treaty of The Hague, which limited Spain's expansion in Italy. War of the Austrian Succession, 1740 to 1748. This major European conflict had profound implications for Britain and is discussed in more detail below. 7 Years' War, 1756 to 1763. Although this conflict primarily occurred during the reign of George II's grandson, George III, its origins can be traced back to earlier tensions in Europe. The war involved global theaters of conflict and significantly expanded the British Empire. The War of the Austrian Succession was a complex European conflict that had a significant impact on Britain and its position in Europe. Origins. The war began when Maria Theresa of Austria faced challenges to her claim to the Habsburg throne. Britain, along with other European powers, became embroiled in this conflict, primarily due to the geopolitical balance of power and concerns over maintaining a favorable status quo. British involvement. Britain supported Maria Theresa in her bid to retain her Austrian territories, primarily through financial and military aid. British troops participated in various theaters of the war, including the campaigns in Europe and North America. Consequences for Britain. The war had significant financial implications for Britain, leading to an increase in national debt. Additionally, the conflict contributed to political instability at home, as it generated debates over military strategy and the allocation of resources. The Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle did bring a temporary end to hostilities in Europe but did not provide a lasting solution to the complex geopolitical issues that had sparked the war. As a result, tensions continued to simmer, leading to further conflicts in the years to come. George II's reign saw Britain asserting itself as a significant player on the global stage, and these conflicts were a testament to the nation's evolving role in international affairs. George II's reign witnessed a significant expansion of the British Empire, with the acquisition of new territories and the consolidation of colonial holdings. This expansion played a pivotal role in shaping Britain's global influence. North America. The British North American colonies, including those on the eastern seaboard of present-day United States and Canada, continued to grow during George II's reign. The acquisition of territories such as Georgia in 1732 and Nova Scotia in 1713 expanded British control in North America. Caribbean. The Caribbean islands remained crucial to British interests due to their profitable sugar and tobacco plantations. British control over Jamaica and Barbados was strengthened during this period. India. The British East India Company, a powerful trading entity, continued its expansion in India. The acquisition of Madras, now Chennai, during the War of the Austrian Succession further solidified British presence on the subcontinent. West Africa. The British established trading posts along the West African coast, primarily for the slave trade and the exchange of goods. Pacific. British explorers, such as James Cook, began exploring and charting the Pacific Ocean during this period, paving the way for later British claims in the region. The expansion of British territories and colonies was driven by a desire for economic gain, access to valuable resources, and the establishment of strategic naval bases. These acquisitions laid the foundation for the British Empire's status as the largest empire in history. George II's reign saw the Royal Navy at its zenith, and its role in protecting and expanding the British Empire was pivotal to Britain's rise as a global superpower. The growth of the British Empire, driven by trade, commerce, and naval supremacy, would continue to define Britain's place in the world for centuries to come. The cultural and intellectual developments of the Georgian era, including the Enlightenment's emphasis on reason and the contributions of writers, thinkers, and artists, continue to shape modern thought and aesthetics. Georgian architecture, with its enduring elegance, remains a testament to the period's lasting influence on the built environment. George II's reign can be seen as a transitional period in British society, with the seeds of industrialization and social change taking root. These changes would continue to accelerate in the subsequent decades, leading to profound transformations in British society, the economy, and everyday life during the Industrial Revolution. The Jacobite rebellions were a series of uprisings and attempts to restore the exiled Stuart monarchy to the British throne. These rebellions posed a significant threat to the Hanoverian monarchy of George II. George II's reign witnessed various forms of social unrest and protests, driven by a range of grievances and challenges. The government under George II faced a range of challenges and adopted various responses to maintain stability and address discontent. George II's government faced a delicate balancing act, seeking to maintain order and stability in the face of various challenges, including Jacobite threats, social unrest, and economic difficulties. The government's responses often reflected the prevailing political and social dynamics of the time. George II, a member of the House of Hanover, became King of Great Britain and Ireland in 1727. Following his father George I, his reign was marked by political rivalries, foreign conflicts, and the rise of political parties. George II presided over the War of the Austrian Succession and the Treaty of Aix-la-Chapelle, which had mixed consequences for Britain. The British Empire expanded during his reign, fueled by trade, commerce, and naval supremacy. The Enlightenment influenced British society, leading to scientific and philosophical advancements. Writers like Jonathan Swift, Alexander Pope, and Samuel Johnson made significant contributions to literature. Georgian architecture characterized the era, with its emphasis on symmetry and classical design. Societal shifts included the rise of the middle class, urbanization, and early industrialization. The Jacobite rebellions and social unrest presented challenges to the Hanoverian monarchy. The government responded with suppression, repressive measures, and occasional concessions. George II's reign occupies a crucial place in British history as a transitional period marked by profound changes and challenges. It witnessed the consolidation of the constitutional monarchy, the expansion of the British Empire, and the seeds of the Industrial Revolution. The era was also marked by cultural flourishing, intellectual progress, and the emergence of a more diverse society. While George II faced serious threats, including Jacobite uprisings and social unrest, his government's responses helped maintain stability. The legacy of this era continues to shape modern Britain, with enduring institutions, ideas, and influences that persist to this day. George II's reign laid the groundwork for the development of a modern constitutional monarchy and set the stage for Britain's emergence as a global colonial and industrial power. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future.